Welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron. Today we're going to do part 3 of the build series for the 49 Chevy. We're going to take all the electrical that we've already done in the last video and wire it in, and we're also going to wire in everything else in the cab, get it all hooked up to the fuse box, get wires routed neatly, and then we're going to make some adapters to make the new gauges that we got fit into the factory location. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. So I've got all the wiring that we ran in the cab spread out here on the floor. Some of it's going straight to the fuse box, some of it's going to switches or gauges or other functions. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this stuff routed where I want it, hidden up out of the way, and start hooking it up to its functions. So I'm just going to kind of put this on time lapse and go from there. We're going to start with the dimmer switch for the headlights. If anybody doesn't already know, all the headlights go through the dimmer switch. So you just have a single feed that comes down from your headlight switch, runs through the dimmer and puts out high beam or low beam circuit, whichever one you want. Okay, I got the wires hooked up to the dimmer switch here. You got your low beam out, your high beam out, and then you got your in from your headlight switch. I'm leaving everything loose for right now so I can kind of tie it all up together. Then I got my main power wire going to my headlight switch here. That's going to go straight over to the fuse box. Get an idea how much I need and get rid of all this excess. Alright, I'm just going to get a bunch of this wiring thrown together here, and then I'll come back in a little bit and give you an update. Alright, well, it's a new day now. I got a lot of the wiring. I got pretty much all the wiring in the interior done except for the gauges. I'm going to go ahead and do the best I can to show you that because it's not real easy to see under the dash. But pretty much all the wiring for the interior is done. All the wiring that I had already run for the lights and everything is all hooked up. So the next thing we have to do is do some modifications to put the new gauges in, and we're going to go through that. I'll go ahead and go now and show you the wiring that we did in its rough state. It's all going to get cleaned up and stuff, but I'll show you what it is for now. We got everything coming in through the firewall there. It's getting hooked up. It's all running up over to where it needs to go, kind of routed loosely. Got all our switches hooked up, and we got our holes for our gauges here. It came from the factory with 5-inch round gauges in it, but they have a bezel that goes around them, makes them a little bigger. So these holes are too big for the 5-inch gauges that we bought. So I'm going to build some adapter rings to put in there, and I'll show you the process why we do that. These are the original gauges that came out of the truck. This part in here measures 5-inch, and then they have this kind of step out with the tabs where they bolt to the back of the dash. And the new gauges that we got over here, this part measures out the same, but the opening in the truck is too big, so we're going to make a little spacer with the tabs to mount them to the dash in the original location that these can sit in and fasten to. So now we're going to get started with that. Alright, so we got our piece that we're going to use here. I ran in the house real quick and stole some of my kids' art supplies so we can get some good circles here. So I need it to be 6 inches on the outside and then 5 inches for my inner ring. This just happens to be exactly 6 inches, so I'm just going to trace this and then we'll use the compass and get the other circle made. Just double check that and make sure it's right. And it's not. So we'll start over. That's easy. Try this thing out here, see if it even goes big enough to do what we need to do. These are just my rough lines. When I cut it with the plasma cutter, I'm going to go ahead and cut on the outside of this line and the inside of this line, and then when I clean it up with the sander, we can get it exactly where we need it. So I'm going to go back over to the plasma cutter and zip these out, and then we'll keep going. Well, attempt number 1 failed. Inside diameter wound up being too big. And attempt number 2 failed because it didn't turn out good. It's not going to work. So we went and bought some hole saws that should be the right size for the gauges. So we're going to grab another piece of metal, try drilling holes, and see if that works. So we got the rings all cleaned up now. They turned out pretty good. Gauges fit in them nice. I checked them in the truck, they fit in there good. So now we have to make the mounting tabs like the original gauge had so that they bolt in there right. So I went ahead and cut a circle out of a piece of cardboard that's the same diameter as the gauge. I'm gonna go ahead and put this over here. Set that down in there. Pretty evenly, and then I can take and mark my holes where I need my tabs to be. And then when I get my tabs set up on the other ones, they should all be in the same spot. Okay, so now we got that marked. We just set our ring in here, make the tabs so that they bolt onto there, and go from there. Tabs don't have to be anything special. Got a chunk of metal here I cut out of a truck one time. Just gonna go ahead and make some strips. Then we'll measure the standoff that they need to be, and then we'll bend them where they need to go, drill a couple holes in them, and weld them onto the rings. Parts cleaned up, drilled. I'll lay out my little template here, put my ring in it, and I can just line up my holes, mark these. All right, got all those marked. I'm gonna take them over and buzz them together on the welder. Okay, we got these all welded up. Got the tabs on them, they're all pretty even. I'd say they're turning out pretty good for what they are. Gauges still sit right down in them. I have to clean that one up just a little bit more. All right, there they are, all ready to go. Kind of looks exactly the same, I guess, close enough. So I'm gonna go test fit these in the truck. If they work, we'll clean them up, get them painted, and the gauges will be ready to mount. All right, well, we got the brackets all painted up, got the gauges put back in them, and we got them mounted in the truck. I'll go ahead and turn this around so you guys can see. And there they are. Got the gauges all mounted in. Look clean, look nice. So that's gonna just about do it for this video. On the next video in this build series, we're gonna run the last couple wires to the engine, hook up the Holley Sniper, put a battery in this thing, and make sure everything works. I appreciate everybody watching. Please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time.